geo device. Down the track, we may even put some things like weather information to these algorithms, lots of crunching of huge amounts of data. What we then do is we route it to any of the traditional parking companies and any of the direct advertising networks. Now, how do we route that? Basically, every 100 milliseconds, we run an auction on that piece of traffic that may be coming to one of your domains. And we say, who is going to pay the most for this piece of traffic right at this instant in time? And we can work that out through our algorithms, and we route the traffic there. So the goal is to always to maximize the return for the domain owner for their traffic. And in its case of parking companies, they want to click or direct advertising networks that we have plugged in, then it goes directly to the advertiser. And obviously, we're after a payment. What we then did was we built back in an automatic feedback into our algorithms, which then would then produce and add to the levels of data. In fact, I think we track about 200 different metrics for every domain every single day. So lots of data is happening now. Now, a lot of questions get asked to me about, okay, this is interesting, Michael, but what is a traffic domain? A traffic domain is any domain that has at least one unique visitor per day on average. That's what we define it as. So if you're looking at your portfolio and you're saying, oh, I don't have like 1,000 people going to my domain each day, this particular domain each day. Oh, I don't have traffic domains. No, one unique. So a lot of people don't realize that it's such a low hurdle. So that's what we do at ParkLogic. And what it ensures in this particular flowchart is we're always extracting the maximum amount of value from the traffic. And that's our goal. And we work on that. And we also get questions there. People say, so when is a domain optimized? It's never optimized. It's a constant process. We don't stop. We're always continuously trying to work out who is going to pay more for that traffic. Okay, so if we look at the history of domain traffic routing as such, back in the early days, I said, the gold rush, you had like a single provider. So we find that many domain owners nowadays, they still are using like a single parking company. They're sending the traffic just to that one parking company. And that's like down the left-hand end of this great big curve where you have greater returns as you go up the curve. And remember, this is a technological curve. So the next one is optimizing yourself. So some people will then say, I'll try out one monetization company, a parking company, then I'll try out another one, then I'll try out another one. It's almost like the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And they keep on trying things. And they do that through changing the DNS, the name servers. They may use a rotation system. And I've had people tell me this. In fact, in the last NamesCon, I actually went through why rotating is actually a suboptimal approach compared to some of the other more modern ones. So direct advertisers came into the mix. And that was a really big revolution. If you don't have your traffic exposed to direct advertisers, then you're losing out a lot of money. As an example, every week on my blog, if you go to michaelgilmore.com, I produce a whole series of stats, and I show you how much the direct advertisers are actually adding in terms of revenue to the mix and the numbers. And that's a great thing to be able to have that. Then we have the algorithmic switching, which I just went through a second ago. It's actually a little bit more complicated than I talked about, but we'll leave it as that for now. But there's another stage, which is future. What is the future? What is the future of domain monetization? And I must admit, it's really this area that keeps us awake at night at ParkLogic. We're constantly thinking of innovative ways. And what I'd like to go through right now is dealing with risk management and the way we are now viewing risk management, how it will add value to domain investors. So risk management. In terms of risk management, I'm talking also about traffic and what that actually means. So if we looked at this big diagram I drew before, what we now have a little thing is on the side as a part of the algorithms is a Dropbox, which is all the toxic or benign type bad traffic, we're dumping it out. And they're largely bots. Now, I can define what we call toxic traffic and benign traffic, but and I did a session on this at NamesCon, and that's a completely different topic. But realistically, it's the traffic which is not human. And what we then do is we make sure that we're constantly routing human traffic through to the advertisers, because ultimately they're the ones paying. Now, this has some great advantages, is that the advertisers think, my gosh, this traffic is good quality, therefore they want more of it. There's greater demand and they bid their prices up. And that's a great outcome for our customers. So what we then did was we said, okay, if we're looking at all this traffic, we created a thing called the Domain Risk Index. The Domain Risk Index is a score from 1, which is low risk, to 100, which is high risk. And we're releasing this information. In fact, we're in discussions with some of our clients at the moment, get feedback and so forth. And we'll release this at a domain and account level. So you'll know whether your domain is more risky or less risky in terms of its traffic quality. And that's actually a really important thing, as we'll see. So if you have domains up near the high end, that's potentially damaging to your overall quality score to your account with all the advertisers and so forth like that. Well, on the other hand, if it's low, then it's potentially reinforcing. You'll get better results. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to show you a very simple diagram right now where we have a domain risk index is on the left-hand axis there, from low to high. And we have traffic revenue from low to high along the right-hand side. So if we have a high traffic domain with a low risk score, I call them the chickens. They're constantly laying eggs. They're great domains. You know what? They're generating revenue day in, day out. There's hardly any risk. There's no bad traffic coming into them. They're great. And they're the domains we want. Then with a low risk and also low traffic, traffic revenue, I call them the rats. They may not be risky domains, but you know what? They're just eating all the chicken's food. So they're not good to have. So you probably want to drop those domains. And so we'll be able to indicate, hey, this is the domain you may want to consider dropping. But here's the bad guys. These are the snakes. They're high risk. They're potentially damaging the quality of your entire portfolio in terms of the eyes of advertisers, and they don't even generate revenue. So you definitely don't want the snakes in your portfolio. Then we have the foxes. The foxes are a bit sly. See, they actually generate revenue, but you know what? They're very high risk as well. So we got to just work out which camp each domain is in there, in which one of those quadrants. And that's very important in assessing a portfolio. So let's take a look at an example of, say, a chicken type domain. Whoops, hang on. My apologies, I slid there, that's better, okay. All right, a chicken type domain may have raw traffic of, say, 7,000 or thereabouts. We delivered about the same number to advertisers. Why? It has a risk score of 1. It's really low risk. It's generating $20 a day in revenue. Fantastic income domain. Love it. We want more of those chickens. Well, the rat had 100,000 piece of traffic. We delivered 92,000. Really low risk score. But you know what? The advertisers, for whatever reason, just don't want this traffic. That's a direct cost for your business. You want to drop those sort of domains. So on the other hand, a snake has 43 million pieces of traffic each day. We only deliver 14 because you know what? By the way, these are real numbers. At a high risk score, and it really is not generating any revenue, so to speak. So that's damaging to your overall portfolio in the eyes of advertisers. Not good. Then we have a fox, which is like 3,500 pieces of traffic. We only delivered 500. Why? because there was a lot of toxic traffic sources in there. That's why the score is higher than the snake, because the toxic nature of the traffic is a proportion of the overall. But it's still generating nearly $7 a day in revenue. So it's one of those ones of, oh, should it be kept? Should it not be kept? So if you put these types of domains with a traditional provider that doesn't do any filtering or anything like that, doesn't focus on quality for advertisers, then you risk a whole lot of issues. So what do we do at ParkLogic while we're working towards with our clients? Is what we do essentially is we take the snakes, we filter out all the bad stuff, and we turn them to rats. You probably should get rid of them still because they're a cost to your business. But you know what? At least they're not a snake anymore. We take the foxes and we turn them into chickens. So we make sure we filter out all that bad traffic and we just give the advertisers the good stuff. And that's so vitally important from a risk factor with your portfolio, but also the value of your domains. Because your domains in the eyes of advertisers will no longer have those bad types of risk traffic on them. So this is going to give an interesting opportunity to go along for ParkLogic clients to assess their value of their portfolios and the value of their traffic and so forth like that based upon a risk score. And I don't think that's ever been done in the domain industry. So you'll be able to say, where are my chickens? Where's my rats? Where's my snakes? And so forth like that. And then you'll be able to very clearly see how we're actually shielding you from some of these bad types of traffic. And we're really excited about that. And we're continuing to work on that with some of our key clients and getting great feedback and refining the algorithms. And eventually the goal is to release this information at a domain level and an account level. So don't we like chickens? And that's what we all want, that's for sure. So let's take a look at it for evaluations for portfolio. We find with ParkLogic, we really curate our clients and make sure that we're dealing with really, dare I say, good quality people and also portfolios. And the median's about 21, 22. If your portfolio on this score system is less, that means it's actually potentially more valuable because your traffic is great quality. On the other hand, if it's up here, it's potentially less valuable. So what you could end up doing is sell off your high risk domains, keep your good domains. There's some really quite interesting models you can do there. Or you can say to someone, the reason why this domain is at this price is because it's got better quality. It's been scored. Okay, so valuation of portfolio. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to just jump out of the presentation for a minute and take you through the ParkLogic interface. This is a dummy account we've set up. When you actually get an account with ParkLogic, you'll see that it's this is the dashboard, and you have on the left-hand side is your daily stats. On the right-hand side is your monthly stats. So I can go along and I can change some of these sliders here and zoom in on different date ranges and so forth like that if I want to. And I could then send all that information that's in the chart straight to the table. You watch the dates in the table change. And they are. So that's the date range I'm looking at. And I can do the same thing for the monthly. I can send the data now on a monthly basis to the table. Everything is exportable as a CSV file as well if you want to pull it into Excel. The other thing we report on is URLs, which is the raw traffic. We're looking at moving that to monetizables, by the way, based upon our traffic filters, which we're, like I said, very excited about. Views is what the monetization company respond and and then you have click-through rate, earnings per click, the normalized RPM, which is dealing with the URLs, and you can do a whole course of masterclass lessons about what a normalized RPM is, RPM and revenue. So I can just choose any of these and see the results and slide it across, or say, give me the last 90 days. It'll give me the last 90 days. All right, so what you may want to also know is where's all my traffic coming from? And I can see device size, operating system, or geo range. Oh, it's coming from the US. That's always a good thing. And browser language. So we can get all of that information at your fingertips. You can also click on a particular date, zoom in and say, tell me the domains that made up that date. And so the system will go away, grab all the data, and there's all the domains that made that particular date up. Or I can go along and say, go to the stats, and I can say, let's zoom in on this particular domain. By zooming on this particular domain, it's exactly the same as the account level, but now it's at this domain level. I can get monthly stats, daily stats, and so forth, devices, geo information, and also even referrer data. And the referrers, where's all the traffic coming from? And I can see where it's actually coming from. There's some from Google and so forth like that. Yeah, so this is all available, and this information is also available from an API. So any of you who are programmers out there and would like to pull it in via an API, we probably have the most extensive API in the industry. And in fact, if I go to the My Account and Profile, and you'll be able to see right there your API tokens, and also documentation is readily available. One of the other things you'll notice here is there's the name servers that you can use. One of the things that we did to stop revenue leakage, we found that people would change name servers, but they would forget to add the domain to their account, which is a bit annoying because that means they're not earning any money from their own domains. And so by using your own unique name servers that we give to our clients, that if we see any domain traffic coming on those name servers, then the domain is then added automatically to your account. You don't have to remember to add the domains. So we try to get rid of that leakage type situation. The other things we have is you can have portfolios. In the portfolios, you can add domains to portfolios and or delete domains. But more than that, one of the things you could do is I can edit this portfolio and change things such as the for sale information. At the top of each one of the pages we work with our partners, there'll be a for sale message. You can change that on a portfolio basis, which can be really a good thing for domain owners who are wanting to be able to say, have some domains go to dan.com, other domains go to afternick, and so forth like that. So you can actually change that information for you on a portfolio by portfolio basis. Lastly, in the domain list, it lists every single domain in your account, but not only that, is that it'll tell you, are the name servers correct? When the domain was last added, was added to the account, which portfolio it's in. So we're trying to mobilize all the information necessary for you to go along and help manage your domains more effectively. Look, that's just a brief overview of the interface. There's a lot more things in there that I could go through if we had a little bit more time. But what I'd really like to do right now is throw it open to you as part of the Q&A. And just before the Q&A, though, I might just stop sharing my screen. Just before the Q&A, I do apologize. I might just reshare one thing I'll show you. Yeah, I'm back again. What I'd like to do is encourage you, for those of you who are currently doing about, say, $500 a month in revenue from your existing, say, parking company or something like that. If you're doing about $500 a month in revenue, then I'd like you to encourage you to even now go to the ParkLogic website and you can apply for an account. By applying for an account at parklogic.com, then there's a few fields to fill in, and then it'll hit the system for accounts. Now, let me tell you something about this. We get a lot of accounts, applications. A lot of them are spam. So can you do me a favor? If you could put in there that as well as your list of, say, a few domains in the sample domains area, put I was in the Zoom call in the list there. And if you put that in there, I know you're here. And so you're a real person and we're not dealing with a bot or something. So that would really help me out. In fact, if you go ahead and do that, what I might do is hand it across, say, to Lotzi and to Rob, and they'll explain what actually happens when after I say approve an account and what they do with it. So Rob or Lotzi, over to you.
Yep, sorry about that. I was muted. Yeah, once Michael's gone ahead and he's approved an account, it comes to me, and I'm responsible for setting up your account across our platform and then organizing the setup of your account through all our monetization partners. And because a lot of them are overseas, Europe, America, and so on, that process generally takes around 24 hours to complete from beginning to end. And the other thing that I do is collect all that information on a monthly basis to ensure that you get paid on time at the end of the month. With all the technical stuff, that's where Lotzi gets involved. So I'll pass it on to you, Lotzi.
Thanks, Rob. So my role here is making sure that all the numbers come through and we get collected, add up, and all makes sense. So after Rob sets up the accounts, we'll start monetizing the traffic across those partners and pulling all that data in from however many we are needed for your account, and that gets processed, aggregated, and that can take a number of days. As Rob was saying, there's time zone differences. Not everybody works in UTC. Everybody seems to work in their own local time zone, so their days finish at different times. So it can take 30, 38, 40 hours before every monetization partner has actually completed a day, and then there's delays in taking before they finalize their data. So what you'll see as time progresses is you'll actually see the data being updated as we get it. One of the things I'm not sure if Michael mentioned at this time is that we're very much into transparency. So we actually display the results and the revenue and the views and clicks that we actually get as we get them. So you'll see them trickle in over a number of days and before they finally get finalized. So it can take a while before you see the final number, and that's just purely because of the number of monetization partners and the fact that not all of them can get their data together and validated, as quickly as we would like, and so it may take 3 days before everything's finalized. But but you'll see that, you can see that in the interface as it builds.
As I like to say to people, is that we have to wait for the world to spin so that we can match up lunchtime in Berlin with lunchtime in Los Angeles. So it's always a challenge to be able to do those sort of things. And but you know what? That's why we actually extract the most value from traffic, because we actually think of those sort of things, and it's something we're pretty happy with, to be able to do that. But anyway, yeah. So it's a part of what ParkLogic does. Now, I'm sure some of you will have some questions, and you'll be sitting there going, I got some questions about what I've gone through. I've given you a glimpse into what we do. Just as you think of your questions, you can either type them in there or you can put your hand up and say, hey, I've got a question. But just as you think of a question you may have, I would like to say a couple of things. Is that if you go to masterclasslessons.com or mcl.club, if you go there, then you'll actually see there's a great series of lessons. Like at the moment, there's 11 video lessons, completely free. You can do those, and it will take you from the beginning to the end of what really monetization is all about. And it's something that's really excited about. I'll be adding another lesson up there on traffic quality, probably in the next week or so. And then I plan to do a whole new series on domain sales. And we'll just release it free. Like, to me, this domain industry has been amazing. It's done so much for me. And it's one of our ways of giving back as ParkLogic, giving back to the domain industry to help that educational process. So in the meantime, does anyone have any questions or anything about what it is that ParkLogic does? We're looking pretty good there. Okay, let me broaden the question out a little bit then. Is what aspect of domain do you find the most interesting of what you do in your business? Like, is it domain sales? Is it traffic monetization? Is it used like building domains? Or you know what? This is the most awesome thing, a hobby. Yeah, go for it, Jonathan.
Hey, so I definitely have a question. I mean, I talk about these a lot, but I own and operate a portfolio of personally of about 7,500 domains. And I've had the opportunity, I think I sort of toe in the water tested out ParkLogic a long, long time ago. It looked nothing as advanced as you have now, which is just like, I can't wait to try it out. But the thing that was always keen to me is I find that there are camps that are really into, I have my portfolio to sell domains, or I have my portfolio to park domains. And I've always been looking for the, I guess, the sweet unicorn magic of a great hybrid between the two. And I'm excited, I think, about some of the data elements that you're exposing through API to maybe test this out a bit. I also like that you had some options where I can plug in links for the sales information.
Yeah.
I guess my question was, do you have an example you could show me of what a page with the for sale link and everything looks like one of your parked pages that includes that link? Or are you pushing that out to the partners that are fulfilling the painted page?
Yeah, so let me answer that question in a number of ways. The first one is those links will appear at the top of, say, our parking partners pages. And you could have it like you put your email address in there, or you can say, click on this link and you can take it to dan.com or Afternic or something like that. If that's the partner you're actually using, that's fine. We actually have a marketplace that we built many, many years ago, and we plan in the future to at some stage update that. But the thing I always say to domain investors is this, though. There's 4 business models for domains. One is to go along and develop a domain into a real business. And I think every domain investor should do that. But don't just build out a domain, like put up a WordPress site, but turn it into a business. Yeah, and that takes effort. The second one is, I call it the rainbow domains. These guys are, I've got a domain, it's a singleword.com. Rainbow is going to come and shine down on me one day, and there'll be a bucket of gold there, and I'm going to sell it for $500,000. They're rainbow domains. Then there's what I call the stock item domains. The stock item domains are the supermarket of domains. I'm going to sell these things for $1,000, $500, whatever, $1,500, that sort of range. And I'm just going to just sell as many as I possibly can. And that's the other business model. And the final one is traffic. We've been talking about traffic at this stage. And that's really, ParkLogic has predominantly over the years been focused on traffic. But what I recommend to people is this, domain investors, take your portfolio and work out which business model each of the domains should be in. The worst thing you could do is take a stock item domain and hopefully sell it as a rainbow domain, or vice versa, to be quite blunt. That's the worst thing you can do. If someone offers $1,500, then sell it for $1,500 because it's a stock item domain. And what I'm trying to do is stock turn, not increase the value necessarily. Because the worst thing can happen with a stock item type domain is you miss the sale because you priced it too high. Yeah, so get your domains, put them on, say, ParkLogic. We can tell you how much traffic they have, and all the traffic domains you leave with us. The other domains you go along and you put with a dan.com, you put with an Afternic, you put with the different marketplaces directly to maximize the returns there. Down the track, I think you're right there, Jonathan, there's a opportunity to do the optimization between sales and traffic. And I see that's a space with our analytic capabilities at ParkLogic is a space that we would like to be able to move into at some point. And but Right now, the simplest way is put your domains ParkLogic. We'll work out which ones have traffic, leave them with ParkLogic. The rest say you move into marketplaces. And we can help you with that. And that's why we have professional support and why we like to be able to work closely with clients. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Is there any other questions there? Yes.
Thank you, Michael. And it was nice seeing you, Jonathan. I met you at the NamesCon.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you again. I look a little older with my gray beard, but then anyways, that's a different story. Michael, my question would be, I am 100%, 99.999% .ca. I'm a Canadian domainer, and have been doing this for the last 22 years. So I have built up a nice size portfolio. Somewhere close to, at one time I had about 25,000 in my portfolio. Right now I'm down to about 15,000 because I dropped too many of those because of, the reasons why you shared. How are you doing with other domainers who are in the .ca space when it comes to traffic monetization and well, the sales are happening. I mean, to be honest with you, 2020 was the best year ever with regards to sales. But then gone are the days when we used to have 5-digit income per month with revenue, or rather traffic. Those were the days that what do you call domain sponsor, parked and traffics and all that kind of stuff. Dots up.
Yeah.
So anyways, so my question would be, how would you place yourself with regards to .ca domain names? I'm pretty sure you must be there up with anyone in the field.
Yeah, for a start, let me say that's an excellent question. Secondly, I was born in Australia, but I grew up in Northern Canada. So God bless you. I have a great fondness in my heart for Canada. I grew up in Northern Ontario, just north of the Great Lakes. But to answer the question is, the thing we look at always is traffic. And what the geo region for that traffic will influence is the earnings per click. In other words, the demand from advertisers. And when you look at the Canadian market, it's a very mature market in the online space, just like the US market is. And therefore the earnings per click will be very competitive, and will keep that high in terms of advertisers, as distinct from, say, less mature markets, say something like a Southeast Asian one. You may have a lot of traffic on the domain, but the earnings per click is a bit lower. And there's many reasons for this. Some of it is because online marketers can't go along and quite often can't complete that revenue cycle of buying traffic, seeing someone come to their website, the person buys products and services, and which means they can buy the traffic in that whole cycle. And the reason why they can't do that, because many of those economies are cash-based still. They're not credit card driven, which is many of the Western economies, people use credit cards. Now, some of those problems have been overcome with some innovative online payment models and things like that. And so marketers are able to track it right through. There's some really interesting, sophisticated things, but that depresses the earnings per click. But in the Canadian space, to answer your question, it's great. It really is good. And we see it across the board. Like there's a lot of demand for Canadian traffic. So if you have, was it 15,000 domains, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, 15,000 domains. Then I remember the days of the traffic Z's and the parked and all that stuff. And let me tell you, we worked with all those companies. And one of the nice things about working with ParkLogic is when you work with us, you work essentially with everyone, because we work out who's going to pay the most for that piece of traffic at that point in time. So I'd love to be able to go along and work with you, and just go to the ParkLogic website, sign up for an account if you haven't already, which I think you may have already
I did not, Michael. In fact, to be honest with you, I just sort of waited till this
Sure.
meeting with you.
Yeah, but for those of you who are waiting there, if you go to ParkLogic website, sign up for an account. In fact, I just sessioned a couple of hours ago for the European domain owners, and a whole lot of accounts came in, and we've already started the process of setting them up. But anyway, I hope I answered that question.
Yes, thank you so much, Michael, and thanks for all what you do.
Yeah, my pleasure. And for those of you who aren't on video or anything like that, if you have any other questions, you can make me unmute yourself if you're on just audio, or you can just type in the chat box. Are any other questions there? Yeah.
Well, I hate dominating these things, but I do have a couple questions. So I think mine are probably a little bit more power user because I've been at this, but because I hold accounts at different companies where I've got names parked or I've done some configuration. Is the process pretty graceful with respect to if I move names over to your system in mitigating where the parking company reports a conflict and may hold them in one account or the other? So if they're in my own, I'll use Parking Crew as an example. I'm assuming they're one of the many that you're supporting. If I've got names in there, and then I decide to take advantage of your system, you're going to go and list those names again in that system. I might get conflict notices.
Yeah, you actually won't with us. And the reason why.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So you won't get a conflict notice, say, example, with a Parking Crew, and you will see the domains move out of your account. And because we set up accounts on your behalf, and some of the reasons why we do that is that we want to make sure that we have only each domainer will have their own account at each of our partners. And the advantage of doing that is you won't get buffeted by other people. Like if we put all the domains in one pot, that's for a start. The second thing is that domains will automatically then get installed into the account, and you end up on our payout levels, not your payout levels of the companies. Like we've aggregated so much traffic, huge volumes of traffic. So part of the optimization process is the fact that we actually get better payouts from everyone. So you'll just take a step up in revenue just there.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's part of the optimization process. There's many different optimization strategies we employ, and we're charged with extracting maximum value from traffic, and that's a part of it.
Thank you, Michael.
No, my pleasure. Any other questions there? Okay, can I just say it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and I look forward to going along and get to know you more. One of the things that I more often than not do with any new clients that come on the platform is I provide you with obviously my email address and also my personal Skype. So if you have any questions and things like that, you could always reach out to someone, because I understand that at ParkLogic, we understand that it's really important that this revenue generated by your domains has been used for paying things like mortgages, kids, medical bills, and schooling, and food on the table. So it is very important. Yeah. So you need to have someone you can reach out to, and that's why I will be here for you. But for those of you who are not already ParkLogic clients, I would encourage you, if you do, at $500 a month at the moment, and if you don't do any revenue because you just don't know, then that's fine. Then I'd encourage you to apply for an account with ParkLogic, and we can get things started and moving forward, and take a look at your domains and optimizing that traffic for you. But in the meantime, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the very multitude of different opportunities that we have in this online world. Thanks a lot for that. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Michael. Bye.
And it's good to see you, Loxy. Good to see you, Dab. Good to see you, Dom. If you haven't tried it, I've tried it. It works. It's nice. Michael, I definitely want to run a test and work with you again. So I'll reach out to you via Skype.
Yeah, not a problem at all, Jonathan. It'd be great to have you on board.
And thank you for all the conversations and education you do. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
No problem. My pleasure.
All right. See you later, guys.
Okay. See you later then, everyone. Bye.